right, guys, so today we're going to continue with vertex form. However, if you notice in this example, it's in standard form. And you might say, well, couldn't I just graph this in using my technique using standard form? Yes, absolutely you could. So if you love standard form and you like making a table, you can. However, in this one, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you rewrite it in intercept form. All right, so to do that, I'm basically just going to rewrite that real quick. Hold on. So that right there, I'm just rewriting it. That's all I'm doing. But you should be starting to look at it and go, okay, how can I rewrite this in intercept form? Well, think about what intercept form is. Intercept form is really just factored form. So if that's the case, let's just factor this guy. So let's go ahead and factor out a 2. So when I factor out a 2, I get 2 times the quantity x squared minus 4. We still need to factor a little bit more because if you notice right here, everybody that's watching this video knows that that's a special pattern, and you all know that's a difference of squares. So that will factor the x minus 2, x plus 2. So if you uncertain how to get from that step to this step right here, make sure that you take a look at a previous video. All right, so that's step 1. We basically just rewrote the quadratic equation or quadratic function in intercept form. Now, step 2, we're just going to identify the x-intercepts. All right, we know that the x-intercepts are basically these two values right here. So I know that I can easily say that my x-intercepts are these two values. So I have 2, 0, and negative 2, 0. So now that I have those two, we're really going to follow the same techniques that we've done in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and make a coordinate plane based off of those two. So go ahead and do that. All right, now that you have your coordinate plane drawn, what we need to do is we're just going to go ahead and plot those. All right, so I'm going to go back up and look at my 2 points. I had 2, 0, and I also had negative 2, 0. So 2, 0 would be here, and I know negative 2, 0 would be here. So all I have to do is plot those 2 points. So that's step 2, is finding your x-intercepts and then plotting them. Step 3, we're going to find and graph the axis of symmetry. So you can do that a couple different ways. You guys know the formula for that, for finding the axis of symmetry. So the AOS, you all know, is P plus Q over 2, or the two values that we have that are up top here, which would really just be 2 plus negative 2 divided by 2. And when you do that, you would see that you get 0. So your axis of symmetry is basically at x equals 0. And you should know that just by looking at your function. But if you didn't, we could figure it out that way. Also, you could even look at, you could go in between your 2 points and go, okay, from here to here, we know that the middle of negative 2 and 2 is 0. So if you didn't want to do out this whole formula, you don't have to. All right, so the next step there is we're going to find and plot the vertex. So we know that the vertex, once I find the vertex, we already know something about the vertex. The vertex x value is 0. We just have to find the y value. So all we have to do is substitute that back into our original formula up top. So we can go ahead and easily just substitute it back in up top to my original formula. Remember, my original is, I'll write that right here so you can see it, was f of x equals 2x squared minus 8. So all we're doing is taking 0 and substituting it into that location. Once you do that, you would see that you get negative 8. So my vertex is 0, negative 8. So that means my graph is going to have to be moved down sometime. So let's go ahead and adjust our graph. All right, now that my coordinate plane is adjusted, I know I can go ahead and plot that at 0, negative 8. So now I have my 3 points, and now step 5, I can just draw a parabola through the vertex and the points that are the x-intercepts. And again, there are other ways you can find this. You could technically look at this graph and since there's no middle value, you automatically know that 0, negative 8 is one, your y-intercept, but it's also your vertex. So you didn't really necessarily have to do out all this work, but I just wanted to show you in case that you did want to show out that work, where it came from. Now, This is going to be super challenging for me to connect, but hopefully you guys are getting better out there, turning your paper and doing what you need to do. But I'm going to have a tough time with this, but I'm going to do my best with drawing a nice smooth curve. Getting a little bit better with my mouse and my stylus as we go, but still having some troubles with it. All right, so not that bad. Hopefully yours looks better than mine, but that's how you graph. And remember, pause and rewind this. Check out the steps. I didn't list out the steps, but you can hear me. I said step 1, step 2, step 3. So when I do say those steps, you probably want to write those steps down. All right, so good luck with this, and I'll see you when I see you. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you for sticking with me. I totally forgot. I got so excited about that we were done graphing this that I forgot to describe the domain in range. So thank you for bearing with me. All right, so the domain, as you guys know, so if I wanted to go ahead and jot this down here, I would say the domain, just gonna write it down, domain is going to be all real numbers because this graph continues to go to the right and it continues to go to the left. So I know that it's going to be negative infinity, positive infinity, or you could also write all real numbers. Now for the range is all my possible y values. Now if I look at this graph, I always want to look at the high or the low. Now I know this has a low point just by looking at the graph, or I could look at my original function that had a positive a value, so I know it opened up. So my lowest value on my graph is -8. So I do a bracket because -8 is included, and it is going all the way up to positive infinity. So you could write it like that. I would prefer interval notation, or if you want to, you could use inequality notation. So I know the y values are going to be greater than or equal to -8. So either one of those would work, but try to start to get comfortable with interval notation. But that is how you state your domain and range. If you have questions with that, just please ask in class. But hopefully the more that we do this, the better you get with it. All right, that's it. You guys are good with this video. Have a wonderful day.